Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your boy DC coming at you with an episode of Out of the Fog that's dedicated to the future of. You're going to meet three friends of mine tonight, and we're going to talk about the future of wellness. A lot of interesting insights and thoughts to share, so stick around and we'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody. This is the special edition of Out of the Fog you're watching, and this is a theme that we put together called the future of, which is future-minded, proactive, positive discussion around the future of so many amazing industries that make up Newfoundland and Labrador. And so I'm very lucky to have three incredible guests hanging out with me on this call. The amazing Dane Woodland, Mike Wall, Melanie Keynes. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to round it out by letting everybody viewing at home, in case anybody doesn't know you powerhouses. Dane, I'd like to turn it over to you. Please give us a little bit of a view into your life and what has led you into your career of wellness.
Wow, thanks, DC. I think I've been doing this, it's been 8 years now. I'm a personal trainer and group fitness instructor, and I currently work out of Max Fitness here in St. John's. I'm also an ambassador with Lululemon St. John's as well, related to my community work and fitness involvement locally. I've been involved as well in the community as a coach for track and field and cross-country skiing. So I've certainly had a wonderful variety of opportunities in this industry, and it's been an interesting time so far with our physical disconnect in a workplace that is, so physical.
Very. And what about you, Mel? Why don't you let us know about what led you into your wellness career?
Well, I was an actor for a really long time, a stage actor, and yoga was something that I was doing on the road to keep fit, healthy, and sane. And it suddenly became my full-time gig. So I've been teaching for over 11 years now, and I have Nova Yoga studio here in St. John's, and the studio is 10 years old. And I also run an online business, Move with Melanie. So I've got online video site with over 200 practices that keeps growing. And I run international yoga retreats. Basically, they're healthy vacations where people get to go, disconnect, do yoga, eat good food, and feel good.
Oh my God, take me there. So many friends of mine have gone on those actually, and they rave about them. So good job. Mike, I mean, geez, tell me everything,
I've been in wellness for over 20 years. I got a PhD in medicine, so I'm an adjunct professor at the university, and I do a lot of work with kinesiology and the medical school and things like anatomy and physiology. I had a wellness company for about 15 years, and now I consult with the government and some other organizations on their wellness strategy going forward. So, and also involved a little bit on the telehealth side of things prior to leaving my previous company. So kind of in line with our conversation today.
Very much so. So I want to just take a second to bridge. Behind you, Mike, are these beautiful pictures from exotic places all over the world. I'm assuming you might have been to a place or two.
Yeah. It's one of the things that's been really interesting. This travel has been an important part of kind of my evolution in health. And a lot of the time I'd like to travel to different places where people do health in different ways and see what you can bring back to our very unique province ourselves. And, that's been a personal interest of mine, but a way that kind of fuels my wellness passion in other ways as well.
Dane, I know you from watching you on the gram, you've been all over the world too. And Melanie, as we mentioned just now, you have your traveling practice. In the wake of COVID-19, when we're thinking about the ability to hop on a plane and get off the island versus not, that's its own wellness opportunity that's in flux right now. Melanie, what does the idea of being province-bound for the next few months, what does that do when I bring that up to you? How do you feel about that?
Well, I guess if you brought it up a couple of weeks ago, I would have had a different reaction. I think I've kind of like settled in and come to terms with our reality. But, when you have a travel business and you can't travel, it's paralyzing. You literally can't do anything. So it's been really stressful figuring out what to do. I've had to cancel a couple of retreats, Cuba in March and Spain in June, and a teacher training in May in Cuba. I know it has made me realize how much I take for granted. And now I think about the idea of hopping on a plane and it's like, oh my God, I cannot wait to go somewhere again. So that is going to be so friggin' sweet. leave again. So I think it's actually made me more grateful and open my eyes to, the things that we take for granted, these amazing opportunities to go and explore and experience, and to have that taken away from you. It's like, wow, how privileged are we?
It's true. And so yet, we're looking out our windows of our houses and looking at the current state of affairs. And this brings us right back into the point of our talk. Here's my life, okay? Straight up. I wake up in the morning, look out the window. I used to go to the gym every morning, 6:45 on the floor, repetition. It's how I start my day. I'm lost, guys. It's like emotional moments, like I'm holding back here. So I'm going to ask you, Dane, when it comes to consistency of the practice of wellness, what are your clients dealing with right now? The same as me? Is it different? Talk about it.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really important thing, even in your own personal description there, about just structure and how structure has been so disrupted. I'm seeing that in my clients, and I find what you said very relatable for me as well. I relied on the structure of my workday to give me a window of time to work out. I would have a chunk of clients in the morning, usually afternoon off. I would exercise, and then more clients in the evening. And now, without that structure, my workout schedule has been actually very helter-skelter. Some days it's in the morning. I worked out like 9:30 a couple nights ago because I just hadn't gotten it in yet, and I've been doing it in the middle of the afternoon. And I'm seeing that with my clients as well, just this general disruption to their norm, and then also the lack of access to supervision, especially people who are in pain or recovering from an injury. Oftentimes there's not a lot of confidence in movement, and they want that advice and they want that support. So not only do they not have the structure, to follow the programming that's essential to their recovery or to their strengthening, but they don't have the guidance that they need. And it really poses a lot of different challenges, I think, for those circumstances. And oftentimes I think people might feel challenged in that regard anyway. And now there's like this next layer that we have to overcome in order to allow people to continue to be healthy and to be strong.
Very well said. Mike, what are your thoughts about the need for supervision and those related outside-in energies to keep us focused in our wellness routines?
Yeah, I think that I came from the gym background too, and I was a personal trainer for years. And I think that most of the time people come down, they definitely need the guidance, but after a while, once they understand the form and technique, they come for the social aspect of it. And I think that that's one thing that all these organizations are going to start to reflect on is really, there's going to be online classes. Like I know Dane's doing them. I know Melanie, you're doing them. And they're getting engagement. People are getting the workout and the benefit, maybe not as much if you were there to shift their postures and move them through it, but they're still getting some benefit. So I think that a lot of companies are going to have to reevaluate, like, what's their value proposition when it comes to the community they create and the social aspects of it. And I think some people really embrace that and recognize that in other ones, but other people are going to be like, well, you know what, I did pretty good over the last 3 months working out from home, and it's easy and it fits. And so it's just kind of an interesting change to see how the fitness industry is going to adapt to this, because a lot of those online things were there before, but people didn't really participate. Now they're having to participate if they want to be engaged. And so how it's going to shift back, if it does, is going to be really interesting to see.
Thank you so much. Melanie, you walk the floor, you give the classes, you supervise, you correct movements. It is a hands-on participation that comes with yoga classes. How do you navigate the difference between being in a room with the participants and doing a class over the interwebs?
It's challenging for sure. I find, talking to a computer screen and not seeing, a room full of people and noticing like, oh, okay, now they're sweating, or okay, they look like they're really tired. So not having that feedback is really challenging. But we always, yes, it's hands-on in a way, but we are always hands-off. So we don't do any physical adjustments unless we know someone's going to really hurt themselves, but we use our words and our cues, and we really empower people to find what feels good in their body and to know when something is not right. So I actually feel quite confident that our people know how to feel good in their bodies, and they're going to find movement that is pain-free and that is beneficial for them. So I think that in a way we've set them up for that already in our classes, because we are empowering them. There's no perfect shape. You need to find how your body works best in this shape. So I feel like most people are already there. Right. And we're just being really mindful of slowing down our cues so everyone can really hear what we're saying and be mindful of what we're saying so that they can interpret the cues and find them.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think it is interesting to just iterate the value of fundamental exercise, movement, stretching. Those are the foundations of all of our disciplines of wellness. And yoga is well known for that. And I think that you're very well suited to do that and provide that, because you're right. People aren't coming into one of your classes typically ready to jump onto the palms of their hands and vault into the air, although I know you do offer those types of more disciplined, advanced classes as well. I would fall over immediately, like real talk. I have no balance. So maybe I'll bother you someday and show up once things get back to normal. We're on a bridge here right now, because what we're talking about more in this chat amongst us four is technology. And we're talking about the fact, Melanie, you're a pioneer in online classes. I mean, I feel like in our local market, you're one of the first people who even delved into trying to administer training and yoga online. Dane and Mike, talk about online classes in your necks of the woods and what you're seeing out there in terms of not only people offering it, but the uptake on it. Dane, why don't you start?
Yeah, so I think similar to Mel's case, like there has been some presence of online work with group fitness and personal training. And kind of like Mike said, some people have been availing of it, but there was always that drive to go into the physical gym. Now it seems like, especially having traveled and gone to different gyms and being on their email subscription list, I'm getting so many updates from facilities across the country that have changed what they're doing, and they're streaming on different channels. They've got, you can pay through MindBody, you can pay through PayPal or Zoom, and you're seeing these kinds of offerings with group fitness, and it to me is almost very reminiscent of my mom putting her like Buns of Steel VHS in the VCR and doing it in our living room, when I was growing up, and I was kind of there in the background and participating. And so it's like this next generation of that at-home workout. But there's a different flavor to it for sure. We do have that interaction, when we are on Zoom.
This is amazing. I'll tell you what, guys, we're at the point of our first break. We're going to cut the commercial, we're going to come back, and then we're going to jump into a conversation related to all of this. And Mike, you're going to lead it up, and it's about forced change, which sounds whoa, and it is, depending on how you look at the opportunity of it. This is Out of the Fog, the Future of series, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog and our special panel-minded show we're doing here called The Future of. The subject is wellness, and I'm joined by three of the kingpins of this industry up in here, Melanie Keynes, Dane Woodland, and Mike Wall. Before we jumped onto the break, Mike, we had talked about forced change and the impacts of that. And during the break, Melanie is spinning out the positive side that I never even knew that was coming. But first, we'll jump back into you. Talk about forced change and how you see it from your lens.
Yeah, so I'll veer away from like the traditional wellness and fitness.
You're watching Rogers TV, St. John's.
Tune in to Sam and Jason Unfiltered, where you will hear us talk about things like current events, relationship issues, mental health. What else?
Well, all of that adds up to my entire life, really. Nothing but mental health problems and relationship issues. Wednesday nights on Rogers TV.
Tune in.
It's live.
You're watching Rogers TV, St. John's.
And welcome back, everybody. This is the special edition of Out of the Fog you're watching, and this is a theme that we put together called The Future of, which is future-minded, proactive, positive discussion around the future of so many amazing industries that make up Newfoundland and Labrador. And so I'm very lucky to have three incredible guests hanging out with me on this call. The amazing Dane Woodland, Mike Wall, Melanie Keynes. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
So first, I'm going to round it out by letting everybody viewing at home, in case anybody doesn't know you powerhouses. Dane, I'd like to turn it over to you. Please give us a little bit of a view into your life and what has led you into your career of wellness.
Wow, thanks, DC. I think I've been doing this, it's been 8 years now. I'm a personal trainer and group fitness instructor, and I currently work out of Max Fitness here in St. John's. I'm also an ambassador with Lululemon St. John's as well, related to my community work and fitness involvement. Locally, I've been involved as well in the community as a coach for track and field and cross-country skiing. So I've certainly had a wonderful variety of opportunities in this industry, and it's been an interesting time so far with our physical disconnect in a workplace that is, so physical.
Very. And what about you, Mel? Why don't you let us know about what led you into your wellness career?
Well, I was an actor for a really long time, a stage actor, and yoga was something that I was doing on the road to keep fit, healthy, and sane. And it suddenly became my full-time gig. So I've been teaching for over 11 years now, and I have Nova Yoga Studio here in St. John's, and the studio is 10 years old. And I also run an online business, Move with Melanie. So I've got online video.
All right, girls.
Mom, you said it's played again.
Workplace injuries hurt the most at home.
He fell. Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Veer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Oh, you can drive, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Take one for the team, buddy.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog and our special panel-minded show we're doing here called The Future of. The subject is wellness, and I'm joined by three of the kingpins of this industry up in here, Melanie Keynes, Dane Woodland, and Mike Wall. Before we jumped onto the break, Mike, we had talked about forced change and the impacts of that. And during the break, Melanie is spinning out the positive side that I never knew that was coming. But first, we'll jump back into you. Talk about forced change and how you see it from your lens.
Yeah, so I'll veer away from like the traditional wellness and fitness side for a second, talk a little bit about the medical side. Telehealth has been something that's been emerging recently. And so you think about it, somebody spends 5 hours of their day to go to a doctor for 10 minutes, and they got to sit in a waiting room full of other sick people, and the doctor doesn't touch you. They just look at you, and then they give you the information you need, and it's done from there. So I think that right now where physicians are really migrating over to this, especially on the family practice side of things, I think that that's going to be people going to be like, wow, this is convenient, it's easy, it's just as effective, things get done way quicker. So I think that there's going to be huge evolution when it comes to how medicine is done. And the second thing I think is that there's a lot of organizations that are working from home, and they said, no, they can't work from home. There's no way to be able to get around that. And then people, all of a sudden, they're able to work from home, and it's pretty effective because technology allows us to do that now. So I think there's going to be a really big step change. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think in like not work-life balance, but work-life integration, where people might actually be able to work from home and be able to have time with their family and be able to engage in physical activity and have more disposable time and be more effective at the end of the day. So I'm just kind of excited to see what convention will be challenged, because we're able to see how technology can really be used, in particular when it comes to health and wellness.
Wow, man. That's disruption to the T.
Big time. And it's forced disruption. So that's why people are going to be forced to try it out, people that wouldn't adopt it normally. And I think that's where even the naysayers will be convinced at the end of it.
Very interesting. So Melanie, I want to jump over to you, because back to what we were talking about just now, you blew our minds with what's going on in terms of your virtual offering. Why don't you tell the viewers about what's going on with you?
Yeah, so we've got pretty much our full Nova Yoga Studio schedule online, and teachers are streaming from their homes. And for some classes, attendance has doubled and sometimes tripled, which I wasn't expecting at all. And we're seeing students of ours and clients of ours who have moved away that are more than happy now to join in. People who have said, like, I just couldn't find a yoga studio that I liked as much, so now I get to practice with you again. That's awesome. We've got people that I've met on retreats through the US, through Canada, even in the UK, joining in on these videos, on these classes, and people are already asking us to keep this service going once we are allowed back into the studio. How can we keep the virtual classes going so that they can tune in from wherever they are? Even people in St. John saying, I would rather do this at home because it's easier, and they don't, I guess, waste the time of having to travel there and then having to travel back, you know, to their
You got
homes.
it good, right? Like, I mean, in St. John's, like, everything's 10 minutes away. So, like, we often, if we haven't lived in other places, we can sound pretty foolish to people who live in bigger urban settings when it comes, oh, I got to drive all the way to the mall. It's like, dude, it's 5 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in a work day, that 5 minutes can mean the difference between taking that moment for wellness and self-care or not.
Totally.
So interesting, yeah.
And I know it doesn't replace it for everyone. I know some people are still going to enjoy going to the studio and having that connection and that community. But one thing that's been really great about these Zoom classes is that we actually hop on before and stay after, and people want to have a little chat. And so that connection has been really, really special, and I think really, really good for people.
That's amazing. There is a conversation that we want to have, and it's threaded through what we've been talking about, which is community, and how we're trying to continue to build that virtually, and it's going really great in some situations. Dane, you have always been such a proponent of community in your industry, in your networks. Talk about what you're seeing now under the umbrella of wellness and what you do.
I think one thing that's really interesting, actually, I was just reflecting on it during our break, is how we even go about defining wellness and what components of our day help influence like a positive relationship with wellness. And I'll reference an initiative that was rolled out by Lululemon for their staff and ambassadors. They've got the schedule going, and they've got blocks morning, afternoon, and evening for different things for, you know, ambassadors and store people to offer on 1 hour Zoom calls. And so the first week, everyone was offering like exercise and yoga and, you know, circuit training and different kinds of things. And now as we settle in and this becomes our new norm, more and more of what's being offering is people doing like interpretive drawing classes, or like an hour of setting, you know, your vision and your goals, or, you know, here are some like developmental opportunities. And so we're seeing people kind of engage in different arms of wellness that we might not always highlight. I think specifically about like that structuring and your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others. And so that we're using all that as a means of engaging in community, and we're having some of those vulnerable conversations and those shared moments where we can kind of lean into one another and talk about our lived experiences and what we need, and, you know, and what the world looks like around us. So it's kind of cool to see how community and wellness are being woven together in not just this repetition of physical fitness, but also this sense of emotional wellness and mental wellness, and how we're all coming together because we all recognize as a collective that we all have those needs.
I think that's so amazing. And I will actually highlight that Recreation NL, which is a provincial organization that, you know, is mandated to offer programs and services and connection around the subject of recreation. It just did a rebrand, and now they're wellness supporters. That's their position. So Recreation NL is wellness supporters, because whether you're reading a book or going for a walk or a run, that is all under the category of wellness and self-care. And it's important for all of us to, I think, lean into that direction, because self-care doesn't have to be running down the road and sprinting. It can be doing whatever makes you feel well, and that's mental as well as physical. Melanie, what do you think about that?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I think that's something that like many people enter yoga because of the physical benefits, because, you know, they feel, you know, they're getting stronger and they're getting more flexible, and that's great. And then there's suddenly this, oh wait, I'm connecting to my breath, I'm listening to my body, I'm tuning inward. Oh my God, this is amazing. And so the wellness is not just the physical, then it becomes that connection to yourself is the wellness. And then when you listen to yourself and connect to yourself, you realize, I need this, I want this. So and I think that's the real power of yoga is that when you listen in, you realize what you need. And then it could be, I need to read that book, I need to have a bath, or I need to go for a run.
That's great. Mike, when you're seeing all of this from the different lenses that you have from day-to-day life, where do you think we will be in the next 3 months? 3 months from now, what will be our general attitude towards wellness as compared to where it was 2 months ago? What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny because I was just going to say exactly that, is that people's traditional view of wellness has been purely exercise and fitness. But now I think that people are realizing the importance of hobbies and recreation and family and connection and spirituality and self-reflection and the emotional side of things and how they deal with stress, because maybe they haven't had a stressful life and all of a sudden now they're without a job and they have no prospect of a job and they're trying to make ends meet. There's financial health and wellness that people don't take into account. So I think that the spectrum of what wellness really is going to expand way more than somebody being able to, like you said, run or lift or bend or whatever, to being somebody that's much more well-rounded. And I think that when we get that view of what real wellness is and what a well person looks like, we're going to realize that you might be strong in 4 of 6 areas, but you got 2 areas that you're pretty deficient in. And maybe that's where you should put your effort in. Maybe you don't need to run that much quicker. Maybe you just need to be able to handle things or manage your budget or things like that. And this is the really unique opportunity we have right now, is that some people are forced into having the opportunity. So I would encourage everybody to reflect on it and then maybe skip a little bit of the binge watching on TV and focus a little bit on fixing up those areas or learning something new. And that uncomfortableness that comes with being exposed to something for the first time and realizing you're deficient, that's a good sign you're learning.
So true. Dan, I'll turn it to you. What are your thoughts leading into life 3 months from now versus life 3 months ago? What is your wellness vision for the future?
It's tricky, because there's
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hi, I'm Melissa Royal-Critch, host of Wednesday nights on Out of the Fog on Rogers TV. Every week we chat with political, business, and community leaders about things going on right here in our city. So tune in at 7:30 or again at 9 o'clock on Wednesdays on Out of the Fog.
Behold Emily Carr, painter, about to encounter the force that will consume her life.
How tightly they sealed their secrets from me, humble and pleading before the great trees, awaiting the invitation from the Spirit to come meet me halfway. Nothing is still now, everything is alive. At last, I knew I must see through the eye of the totem itself, the mythic eye of the forest.
Seldom able to live by her brush, before she died in 1945, Emily Carr was in the first rank of Canadian painters.
This is my country. What I want to express is here, and I love it. Amen.
My husband and I were looking for a home, and we had our first child. We wanted a little bit bigger of a home, so we didn't have an agent signed on. So this particular home we wanted to see, the listing agent was Tiffany Butt. So I called Tiffany and asked her could she show us the home, and she wanted to make sure we didn't have an agent, and we said no. And so we went out. It was a very stormy day. She was out and had the place shoveled and ready to go for us to walk in. And she showed us the home, and it wasn't what we were looking for, but she took her time and she asked us some questions about what it was that we were looking for. And I gave her specifics, and you know, we wanted a big backyard, we wanted a little bit on the outskirts of the city, open concept, and a few other things. And of all the other agents that we had talked to up to that point, she walked away, and the only things, she asked could she send me some listings to view, and I said yes, by email. And the only thing she sent me matched all my criteria, versus other agents that had shown us properties just sent us everything that came on the market that day. So it showed me that she was in tune with listening and what we wanted.
Okay, I told my client I'd bring her some Pepsi. I'll be right back.
I really respected that.
Did you get pizza?
She wasn't using up my time with things that she thought I should like, or places that she thought we should live or try out. And I get that, but we just did know going into it that this is what we wanted. We ended up buying privately our first home, and so we didn't need an agent. But when it came time to sell that home, I thought about Tiffany. And at the same time, somebody had told us about the Costco program, and it was really low fees. And I am definitely very frugal with my money. I like to make sure I spend it in the right places. So I called Tiffany and said, this is what I'm thinking. Somebody has told me about the Costco program, but I really liked you, and I think that I would like to work with you. So can you present to me a case why it would make sense for me to pay more money for you? And she did just that. She's a go-getter. She gets things done, and I really respect that. And she listed our house, and it sold in 10 days. So it could have been the market, the timing, but it certainly was a lot to do with the effort that she put into it as well.
I've grown up in this industry. My parents have been in the business for over 20 years. And at first I was curious about the different designs and different builds. But as I watched their careers grow, I realized how important it was for people, their home. It's not a house. They're buying a home for their family. And I enjoy helping people, and my family is the most important thing in my life, so it's nice to be able to help other families with their most important decision. They could always be there when we needed them the most. Their schedule, even though they might have worked like probably 60 or 70 hours a week, you know, they could work from their phone, or they could send an email or a text at our swimming lessons, you know. My father loves his family, and so I guess he wanted to choose a career that allowed him to be able to spend as much time with us as possible, and that was great. I think he puts on a brave face. I think he is one of the strongest and most individuals I've ever met. He always is striving to work harder and push better. Like in this market now, you know, we're building a new building. We've got an amazing new app. Like you sit outside anything home that's listed, and the price, all the details come up, and then it'll pin every other home in the area. Like how cool is that, you know? Like we developed that, and we're a local independent company, you know? Like a local supporting local is what we are. And my father loves his family, but it's not just us that he cares about. It's every realtor that is with us, you know. Hanlon is like a family, you know. We want to work together, and we've got the new Hanlon bus for doing caravan, you know. Like he just tries to always take it one step further, always, to do whatever he can to help all of us. And I know he does it to me personally, but it's not just me, and that's something that I really admire about him.
Nevin, where do I start? I met Nevin in the real estate circles when he first joined. He worked with one of our competitors, came over under our brand a number of years ago, started up his team, the Hollett Group, and is a very, I'll say, he's a very hard-working realtor. He puts a lot of time, heart and soul into real estate and has become probably one of the, if not the best real estate team in the city, one of the best.
Nevin works around the clock lots of times. He, punches 60, 80, even 100-hour weeks sometimes. And just watching him with his dedication is definitely inspiring. Nevin is a really great person. We've done lots of things socially as a team as well, outside of work, and Nevin's a lot of fun to hang around with outside of the office. We have a really good team here. Everybody gets along very well, and there's a lot of great vibes going on here. He gives us a lot of support when we need it, and is definitely an excellent employer.
I met Nevin in, I believe, 2000 or 2001. We were both in university, and we worked at a furniture store here in town. And I met Nevin there, and we've kind of been friends ever since. Definitely got great vision. I've learned a lot from Nevin. He definitely has a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. He's got his quirks like anybody.
He has the balance of a newborn giraffe.
Yeah, he's been known to fall down on occasion.
He's always falling down somewhere doing something, and that's, probably the biggest kick we get out of him, is watching him looking up at us on the floor. Well, this year, as you can see behind me here, we have a board set up. Nevin has set a goal for the team this year that if we meet that goal of 250 transactions this year, we all get a trip to Ireland. So we're all pretty excited about that. Working hard, and hopefully we'll meet that goal by the end of the year. We do have some new agents with us this year, so our numbers are up, and we're hoping that we can, pump some sales out and take a trip to Ireland. The hardest part about our job, I think, would be the lengthy time before you get paid. A lot of times we put a lot of work into our clients' needs, and sometimes it doesn't pay off, and that's just the nature of the job. You do what's best for your client, and at the end of the day, if it means taking a loss on some of the things you do for them, then that's what you have to do.
Hi everyone, it's Robin from Decorating Den Interiors. Today I want to share with you a little bit about how I work with my clients. My initial consultation is free. On top of that, there are no ongoing design fees. I pride myself on putting the focus on my clients' individual lifestyles, how they live in their home, not just the house or the products in it. I love that what I do improves people's lives by taking into account the aesthetic beauty and functionality of the pieces, but most importantly, how my clients need to use them. I'm able to do that through my network of over 130 national name brand suppliers. So with any budget or style, my clients are able to shop with me in their own homes and find all the items and more that they would find in stores. Whether it's accessories, window treatments, or entire home furnishings, my role is to work with my clients' ideas and help them really pull it all together, from inspiration to installation. For your free consultation, contact me by phone, email, or my website. Let's connect soon.
This portion of Open House NL has been brought to you by Premier Mortgage Center. Your mortgage, your insurance, your terms.
Hi, I'm Dave from Hot Tub Pros. Come see the most energy efficient hot tubs on the market today. These premium hot tubs come with a lifetime guarantee and a complete auto clean system. You can have your very own hot tub delivered and installed by our professional and friendly staff. We also carry a full line of hot tub products and accessories, including the Spa Marble Natural Enzyme Hot Tub Water Conditioner. Hot Tub Pros, 189 Glencoe Drive, Mount Pearl, 364-8827.
Your home. It's the place you come back to, and a place that never leaves you. At Cohen's Home Furnishings, this is our home too. Since 1919, we've been proud to be a part of the most special place in your heart. Cohen's, where the home is.
Hi, I'm Ken with Republic Inspections, here to give you a home maintenance tip. The HRV and many properties I find, the filters are generally dirty. These are very, very easy to fix. Just open up your unit here on the side. Doesn't require any tools. I'll open up and your filters are right in here. You just take them out. They are reusable. Vacuum them off, rinse them under some warm soapy water, and then just pop them back in the unit, and you're all good to go. Manufacturer states that this should be done every 4 to 6 months.
We met on a file a number of years ago now, actually, and it's, I guess when I say that she communicates pretty well, I mean, that file was really no different. And, from that point forward, we just, fostered and maintained a really good relationship together. And it's, you know, like I said, when I see a file coming in from Tiffany, I just know that, you know, everything's going to go fairly smoothly, right? We've never had a problem that we haven't been able to overcome. But again, that still comes down to the communication piece, because, you know, Tiffany's got a really good eye to be able to spot issues early on, because with real estate sometimes, just the way it works with Murphy's Law, when problems tend to arise, it tends to be in the last 24 to 48 hours, and you know, sometimes that's unavoidable. It's just the nature of it. But Tiffany, I find, is one of those agents that can really, it's like she's got a second sense for seeing issues coming up, and you know, spotting that 3 or 4 days before can really lead to a much smoother closing. I mean, sometimes it's, you know, certain things are unavoidable, but she certainly can see things coming up, and it certainly makes my job on the legal end a lot easier for sure. She's there from the beginning to the end, right? She's there from the very first time the file comes in. She's making sure that everything's going through okay, which is, it's so important really, because you know, there's a lot of players when it comes to a real estate transaction. There's, you know, there's the clients, of course, there's the agent, there's the lawyer, there's the mortgage professional, and the thing is, communication really, I found, is the key. And you know, problems can arise. It's just the nature of real estate. It comes up, but you know, no problems are insurmountable. And if all the key players are communicating like that, then that's a real key piece. And like Tiffany really gets that. She truly does. And sometimes that can be the difference between a file going really smoothly and a file not going smoothly. You know, having a lawyer who is involved in a file is very important. I mean, people often don't see a lot of what the lawyer does on a file, because a lot of it's in the background. It's making sure that the property is secured, both for the client but also for the bank. People sometimes don't realize that a lawyer in a file, they wear two hats basically. They wear a hat to make sure that the client's interests are taken care of, but also as well they wear a hat to make sure the bank's interests are taken care of as well. And you know, sometimes those heads can butt a little bit, understandably, but having a lawyer who, you know, is involved in the file, who is communicating, you know, everything like I'm saying about Tiffany, basically. If it's someone who is there, is contactable, is communicating, then, you know, everything will go smoothly. But the lawyer has a very, very important part of the whole process, and without the lawyer, unfortunately, it won't go through, as much as I hate to say it.
He is very dedicated, very determined, and very busy. He's a great leader. He sees goals and he goes for them, and very effectively meets his goals. He keeps us all in line. He's a really good guy to work under, for sure. My first thoughts were he's very busy. He's obviously super successful, but he has a really good leadership about him. And I just knew he made a lot of money, so I wanted to make a lot of money. Yeah, he puts in a lot of hours. He is non-stop. Yeah. I'm learning a lot more about the market, more about predictability, and making a lot of warm calls, which we get a lot of leads from the different systems that Nevin use, which is a huge asset. We would never, ever get half the leads that we would without him. So he's really good at generating that for the whole team.
Oh, I think Nevin is fantastic. I mean, he's always there when you have a question, you know, especially when you're new. I mean, you know, a lot of us now, we've been here for a little while, so we don't tend to have to rely on him as much as we did. But I mean, especially for some of the newer people, you know, he's fantastic. Like I said, he's a wealth of knowledge. He's always willing to help you in any way that he can. And just being able to benefit from, you know, things like his lead generation and the way that he has his business set up, you know, I can't see of anywhere else that I would rather be. Definitely one of the most driven people I've ever met, and I think he tries to instill that in all of us, and it is infectious. So, you know, that's one of the things you get from Nevin is that drive, that you know, you get out what you put in, and you know, I've definitely learned a lot from him there.
Morning, Dar. Is everyone in the office? All right, perfect. Hey guys, how you doing? Good, good. We're gonna do the sales meeting there now. So if you want to grab your stuff and go out to the boardroom. All right, I'll go get the other guys. All right, guys, how you guys doing? Good. Everyone good now? You free? Yeah. All right, so grab your stuff. We're gonna go out to the boardroom and have a little sales meeting, okay? All right, thanks.
This portion of Open House NL has been brought to you by Hickey's Timber Mart, serving you from 3 locations: Harbor, Maine, CBS, and St. John's.
Hanlon Realty is certainly a different kind of company. From its base, once upon a time when we started it, we'd never had an agent or a person that was a real estate agent before. We took them all in off the street and trained them from scratch. And the foundation of that training and the policies of how it operates are still the same. And Wayne has maintained that wonderfully. Because the other thing is that Wayne is not a competitor of the agents, even though Wayne is a realtor, and he does a lot of different things, and land development, and involved a lot in new home construction, recruiting, and helping agents whenever they need. He's realized that when you come over to this company, he's not taking business from you, he's looking for it to give to them.
We met in Toronto, actually. I grew up in Toronto, and that's where we met. I was only 17. He was not much older, and we've been together for 35 years.
Oh, I was a year younger, wasn't I?
No, you weren't.
I thought I was.
We've been together for 35 years. We have 3 children and 2 grandchildren. Wayne is really good at what he does. I see, working really closely alongside him, I see him put together a lot of deals that sometimes don't even go together. He manages to always find a way to put a deal together, and he's grown like a lot in like land development and the business itself, and he's always strived to make our family life a lot easier and better. And he's just a really hard worker, works long hours, and he just gets things done.
There are a few offices out there with a larger complement of realtors, and they don't really operate in the way that Hanlon Realty does. We have weekly sales meetings where we discuss a lot of the goods and bad, the highs and lows, the problems, the wins, the losses that are going on in the industry and between the realtors and their customer base and their competitors. We do constant training, power sessions, we call them as well, that we get mini groups together. And we have an open communication. While they're all competitors and peers and co-workers, they're still out to get their own customers and earn their own commissions. So having an open dialogue that everybody realizes that we can talk about these things freely, and nobody inside this office, is going to go and try to steal your customer, which I think is a bit of maybe an unfair myth about the real estate business, and certainly people that work on commission. But we spend a lot of time together, functions for the entire office and spouses, to functions with whoever can show up, to mandatory functions, to training to keep your license, or training to, be able to maintain the skill sets and the service standards that we set at Hanlon Realty. So it's ongoing, there's no doubt, and real estate is ever changing, as is the technology, the laws, the rules, the marketing. It is a full-time job, but when you do have a good group, like we do at Hanlon Realty, and some of the things that they do that other offices, I've talked to some realtors that been in real estate for 35 years and the company's never had a sales meeting. So that's one of the things I find with some of the franchises. While we're an independent company, you're an independent realtor, and people seem to work in a bubble. They might tell you differently, but we know what goes on out there.
Hi everyone. Many times people ask me, how much of a mortgage payment can I afford? My best advice on this is the amount that you feel comfortable with. Even though the bank may approve you for a higher amount, that doesn't mean it's the right fit for you. Always take into consideration you will have your mortgage payment, property taxes, and homeowner insurance. That's the magic number at the end of the day.
This portion of Open House NL has been brought to you by the Franklin Hotel. in the heart of the downtown of St. John's.
Rustler's Family Restaurant. Delicious home-style meals and more. Made in-house, just like Mom used to make. Rustler's Family Restaurant, next to Breakers, the local, in the Fall River Plaza. And don't forget the all-day breakfast. Rustler's Family Restaurant.
The surveyor's real property report is different than your survey. Your survey shows the boundaries of your property and tells you how much land you have. The surveyor's real property report shows your improvements on the land. It shows the decks, fences, easements, sheds, encroachments by your property on others and encroachments by others upon you. It's an extremely important document to have, and I would recommend that you have a recent real property report that you can rely on. So either a brand new one for your transaction or one from recent years that the vendor verifies hasn't changed.
But Tiffany reminds me a lot of my mother. She's quite determined, and her business sense reminds me of my mother. My mother built a business, a successful business, mainly because someone said she couldn't. And Tiffany built a fantastic real estate business, I think mainly because someone said she couldn't.
Well, I had 4 kids, and I used to work up to a restaurant. I used to cook in a restaurant up the road. And so when my daughter found out my daughter was deaf, I said, oh my God, what's she going to do? And so anyway, I said to my husband, I said, we're going to have to put her in school for the deaf. Oh my gosh, no, we can't do that. She's only 5 years old. And I said, well, she's got to be educated. She can't grow up in this little town without being educated. And he said, well, wait till she's 12 or 13 and let her make up her own mind. And I said, no, it's too late then. I said, you can't take a 12 or 13-year-old and put him in a school in St. John's after living in a small town. But I said, if she's 5, well, then I can make the choice. And the choice is a choice that I'm going to have to make. So anyway, we took her and we brought her in here. And it was a rough road. Well, I nearly died. Just about killed me. Well, it killed her father. And
big struggle growing up?
Struggle. Still hurts.
And I see a lot of my mom and Tiffany. She's strong and she's resilient. And my mother did what she had to do for her child. And I think Tiffany makes the same commitment. She does what she has to do for her children.
Like, success for me is being healthy and being really happy and smiling every day and laughing every day and being with people I love and my friends and my kids, my family, and even my clients become friends and almost family to me. This is part of my job that I love.
Everybody has what you're put here to do inside you, and follow what makes you happy. And if you can find and are fortunate enough to do what fulfills you and makes you happy, you'll succeed at whatever it is you do.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy DC, and I am the Thursday night host of St. John's local tradition, Out of the Fog. You know, local matters here on the show, and from arts and business, not-for-profit, anybody doing anything great to make our province a more rewarding place to live and work. It all happens right here in the studio. So join me and my boy DJ Slim Macho every Thursday night for Out of the Fog.
With the economic impact of COVID-19 deepening, food banks across Canada are concerned about not having enough food to meet the demand, with many reporting only a 2-week supply remaining. That's why Rogers is partnering with Food Banks Canada in this critical time of need by donating 1 million meals for our fellow Canadians. Let's do what we can. It's time to step up to the plate and donate at foodbankscanada.ca. Together, we can make more possible.
Real adults.
It's never too late to start a new chapter in your life.
Real stories.
I knew I could do it. I just needed help.
Real life.
Me, before, I'm truly writing my next chapter.
Watch Real Newfoundlanders Haley, Cameron, and Michelle's life-changing journey to finish what they started. Stream the final chapter of Discovery's 3-part series about life today at reallifenl.ca.
Start anytime, day or night, free for most students. The Discovery Center, high school for adults.
This here is the home of our 3rd Peninsula location. Currently it's at a shell level, so this is actually my favorite part of the construction period because you get to see kind of a blank canvas. And now in the next couple weeks, what you'll see is a lot of construction happening, and hopefully we'll be done in about 3 weeks, which is pretty crazy when you're looking around this room. It's also going to be one of our more important locations because the Avalon Mall is so busy. And with the Avalon Mall being so busy, it's really good for branding because a lot of people will see what Panizza is and what we do on a daily basis. So this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, you don't need it. No.
So the 5th ticket needs it, so that's...
Oh, there you go. You can take that if you wish it.
Fuck it.
Just take it. Yeah. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, we gotta get. Are you still going with 2 ovens here?
No, just, there's not enough electricity, is there? So.
Well, you can. I'm sure you can get it, but it don't work too. Well, you need another panel just like that one, right?
Yeah, I'm not paying that.
No, well, they won't pay for it. You checked, right? Yeah. They're not gonna pay for it, right?
So you got to buy this press so that you get these dough balls, and you get this press is like this big. It's meant for like 24-inch size pizzas. Yeah. So I got to find somewhere on the counter for that. Like,
yeah, that's gonna be good.
Especially at the village. Yeah, village that doesn't have a chance.
Can you make them like do it all out there and then just